Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode number 92 on ebayscavengers.com.
Good job.
Thanks.
So how was our week this week?
How was our week? Well, it was not as slow as last week, but it was still a little bit slow for most of the week.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that as if you're becoming or trying to become a full-time eBay seller, you're basically becoming like a retail store, and your sales, this time of year is not going to be like it is during holiday season. So that's why we always try to plan our expenses to match our lowest amount that we normally make during the year.
Right.
But it wasn't that bad. Things picked up. I mean, this week was a week of half-price offers. I don't know about other people, but, we have make offer on almost everything. And, man, every day we were getting 6 to 10 offers, different offers.
And it's always half price.
Yeah.
And if you counter, no, I'm not going to go half price, majority of the time they don't counter back, or they nothing happens.
And, some people, they start getting freaked out about this, or they want to do automatic.
Decline.
Which you can do. We kind of like it because when it is that slow, I at least like to see that there's people finding our store.
Right.
I mean, when things are so slow, I sometimes think maybe eBay messed up and hasn't indexed their store. Yeah. But, the even low offers at least tell me people are seeing our stuff,
Right.
And then towards the end of the week, we started to sell like normal again. It was nice.
So before we move on to the next subject, I do want to say, because we were getting so many offers, on some items, that you've had for a while, you're willing to go half price or whatever, because you're like, let's just get rid of it. Let's make a couple bucks,
Yeah.
And so we were having a bit of an argument with each other because we wouldn't communicate with each other about countering, accepting, or declining. Like, what do you want to do? What do you think?
There are items where I would have taken the half price and Ryan declined it, and then, vice versa. So
yeah, we've done this several times, and I guess we have a hard time sticking to it, but we say we need to talk about offers before anyone does anything.
Yeah.
Either you text the person if they're not around, whatever.
There have been a couple times in the past 6 years that we've been doing this that I remember getting an offer, and I was so blown away. I was like, this is the most awesome offer. We finally sold it. It's for a big item, and then I looked at you countered.
I countered, or I declined it, or you took an offer, and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's too low or something.
But so if you're a buyer, half price offers aren't a bad idea, because maybe you'll get is lucky. But most of them, 90% of them, we don't even, we always counter.
Yeah. So
on our continuing experiment selling on Amazon, we've talked about we've tried out Amazon, and we started put its books up, and we kind of put up a bunch of books, I think under 50 books, right? I mean,
no, there are 60 books listed on Amazon,
and we kind of slowed down because like anything, we weren't selling as many as we wanted, but we just sold our third book.
Yeah,
on
so
Amazon.
we sold the third book, and it was actually quite a high priced book. The book was some rare architecture book about Italian Renaissance gardens or something. And it sold for $65.
And we probably made, $50 profit?
We made $50. So that was fun.
And, I have to remind myself, we need to take our own advice. I can't expect us to sell every day on Amazon if we only have 60 items up. I mean,
just like eBay.
We tell that to people on eBay. You need to have at least 500 items.
Right.
But again, this is why, as we say, selling on multiple platforms, it's just, I'm not sure how much time we could devote to putting up things on Amazon.
Well, time and storage. But I guess that's the argument for FBA, because you would just send in your 500 books to FBA or something.
Yeah. Well, storage to me should never be a problem, because I feel like that's the easiest part to solve. You can always rent places. I find we can always make room. It's more about just time,
Yeah.
You can only list so much a day, so do you split up your time between listing on 2 platforms, do it only on one?
Yeah, it's hard, because this week, you'll see in our numbers, I have been listing. There was one day, I think there was a big snow day in the south and, northeast of the country, and we got 12 inches of snow.
We love those days.
And so it was like, okay, the mail's not coming, because I called the post office. We're not going anywhere. So I listed almost 40 things that day.
Yeah.
I was like on a freaking tear. It was like 9:30 in the morning. I was like, I'm not even going to leave the house.
It's like one of those weeks where we sold over 40 items, but we have 75 more items in our store than is last week because
I listed every day.
You were able to list so much, so that's good. We're going to continue on Amazon because we do have, I'm staring at a big stack of books.
These books.
Because if we're going to really try the experiment, we really have to take our own advice and bulk up our inventory.
Yeah.
Because I think Amazon, probably like eBay, is just a numbers game. You just have to have enough inventory up so something's going to catch someone's eye.
So this kind of goes into the next subject we're going to talk about, where we think it's a numbers game. There's no get rich quick schemes on eBay or Amazon. No matter what, if you're like, I found this great thing, I bought 150 of them, I put them on Amazon FBA. But the question is, can you find things like that for Amazon consistently?
Well, let me put this in perspective. So we've been watching these videos on YouTube. It's really, really amazing. Just there's this whole community of people buying and selling things, and it's interesting to see the different takes people have on it. People are a lot of young guys are very much into the making money quick, and everything's just like they're going to get rich. It's really interesting. Right. And a lot of it goes around this retail arbitrage that we've talked about. Such a great word, retail arbitrage, where these guys are going around Walmart and ladies too, TJ Maxx, wherever, with their price scanners, trying to find things that they can buy cheap at these retail stores and then sell. And but what's interesting is that there are also these people who do drop shipping.
So explain what that is a little bit.
Well, it's this strand of it's so interesting. We watched this video of a guy who was in a parking.
He was a parking attendant at some garage in downtown Denver, Colorado.
And he was making a video saying how he was making extra. It's money. It's what he does. It's kind of a scheme. I love it.
Yeah, it's a scheme.
So he becomes an Amazon Prime a member. So he pays a little bit more. Everything he buys on Amazon free shipping. He finds items that he can buy on Amazon and he lists them on eBay for cheaper than what other people sell them for.
But more than they are on Amazon.
So if someone buys from him on eBay, he'll then go to his Amazon account, buy that item, and have it shipped as a gift
to that person. eBay.
So he doesn't have to touch any inventory. He doesn't do anything except he's just selling from one to the other and taking advantage of the free shipping
and
under
the gift
Amazon.
Shipping. Because I did this the other week. I bought some cat toys or something for our cats on eBay for really cheap. I think it was $9 free shipping. And it came to me in an Amazon box with the gift, packing slip that doesn't say the price and whatever. It's here's a gift for you. And I was like, what the hell? That's so weird. And this is why. And
he said he'd made about $7,500 in 4 months, which is pretty good. I mean, it's, almost $2,000 a month. And but I guess for me, number one is, I don't know how sustainable that is. I just feel like at some point Amazon is going to get hip to that. And Amazon Prime members, where almost every single item is a gift, they're going to cut that kind of spigot off.
Yeah. Because just to be clear, if it's not labeled as a gift, then your eBay customer is going to get a receipt that shows that it was so much cheaper on Amazon.
Right.
So that's kind of the hidden, gem of it.
I think the other thing is, I just think that we're so, we sell one of a kind, kind of a vintagey items on eBay. So it takes a lot more work. It's a lot more handling. It's kind of just such an interesting world, this whole Amazon FBA. And I was walking around Walmart the other day with my price scanner. Again, I love to experiment just to see. And I couldn't find anything where I would make more than $1.
Yeah.
And, after all the fees. And I wonder the people that depend or only sell on Amazon FBA, are they finding consistent inventory? Because I know for us, with selling these, it's one of a kind, estate sale kind of things. I mean, there's an almost unlimited amount of inventory.
Right. You just find it everywhere.
It takes a lot of work to get it listed, but it's always there. And I know FBA is easier because you're just kind of like buying everything in bulk and shipping it somewhere, and you just do some, typing on the computer.
Right.
But is there consistent inventory?
Right. Can you find that stuff every day? I mean, we went to Goodwill yesterday, which we don't normally do, as we always say, but we happened to be going to a movie next door.
And we were just killing some time, so we spent half an hour in Goodwill, and we actually found 3 pairs of boots and shoes. We bought them for, basically $20 for the whole thing, and each of them will sell for easily $100.
Yeah, over $100 each.
However, I just want to be clear. So it's when I say that $100, that's not $100 in my pocket now. That's $100 in maybe 6 months.
Right.
It's
when they sell.
I think for those of you who have been listening to this podcast, I hope we're making this clear. It's really about building a business and more like building a pipeline, so when we go to an estate sale and buy $100 worth of stuff, we aren't flipping this the next week and making all kinds of its money and paying our rent.
Right.
The things we list today very well might not sell for 6 months or 12 months.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it takes that long.
Right.
So that's why we list every single day, because we don't know what day something's going to buy.
We don't know
sell.
how, it's like a big cycle.
Right.
The more you list, the more is going to sell. You don't know how long it'll be up for. It could be up for 5 minutes, but...
And I think that's the thing that just makes me kind of laugh when I watch these YouTube videos about... It seems like a lot of these young guys are in, they're going around and they're buying and selling this stuff, and they make it act like they're making quick cash. And I guess unless you're really selling it for dirt cheap, things just often don't sell for that much, unless it's a very special item. That's our thing about, for those of you who are actually trying to build a business that will be sustainable over a long period of time.
Right. We had an interesting thing. We've been getting some comments and questions from people about, potential eBay scammers and how they work. And, we felt like, we haven't really had people like that really. Because basically we call their bluff by saying, okay, if something didn't work for you, just return it. So it was kind of funny because yesterday I had a woman who I had communicated with about a jacket. She asked me to check the chest measurements. So I double checked them, and, I told her what the measurements were and that it was on the listing and everything. So she bought the jacket like a week later. Now that was exactly 45 days ago. And she opened a case yesterday, which was like the 45th day. I think that's the last day you can open a case, and said, she was disappointed in the size, it didn't fit. And, for us, we're like, okay, the normal route is, something doesn't fit, then the person wants to return it. But what it sounded to me like, she just wanted a refund.
But she didn't say that.
She didn't say that.
So what we did is what we always do, is we just said return it for a full refund. And we haven't heard from her yet, right?
Yeah, so... I was just mentioning it because, we hadn't had, that much experience with thinking that someone like that was a scammer. And I'm like, I wonder if she's a scammer.
But the point of it is, though, I feel like we don't have to spend a lot of time worrying about it, because either it's a real concern this lady has, she's actually unhappy, she'll return it, we'll give her back her refund, or if she is trying to, it's fish around for some extra money just because she's trying to bully us, we just won't stand for it. Yeah. And then she has nowhere to go. So really, I think that's why if you have what we always call corporate rules, I mean, we just have rules of our business. This is how we operate. We don't really change them unless it's really weird circumstances, and it applies to all people who buy from us,
exactly.
and it works. Yeah. Okay, so let's answer questions that people sent in this week.
So the first question is from someone named Livy, and they ask, you often talk about how you find items for 25 cents or $1, or sometimes more for a painting, and you want to sell stuff for $30 minimum. Do you have a guideline for margins, the difference between the sales price and the amount you paid? overall throughout the year, about what percentage of your sales is your inventory cost? Okay, that's a good question.
We get these questions. We get a lot of emails and where people are trying to ask me to break down our numbers because I guess they're new and they're like, how is it possible I can buy something for 25 cents or $1 and sell it for $30?
Right.
You know, and they just, you know, they're trying to get their mind around it and they want to figure it all out before they get started. And I mean, all I can tell people is it just comes with experience. I mean, like I said yesterday, we walked around Goodwill for half an hour. We looked through probably 500 pairs of shoes, most of which are the junkiest, yuckiest kind of shoes that I can't believe anyone would buy for $3. And we happened to find the two pairs of riding boots and then one pair of like really designer sandals that you can just tell that they're worth a lot of money. I mean, just me holding them, you could tell that they're well made and leather.
They're leather, they're handmade. I mean, handmade riding boots, those are ridiculous amounts.
And so we knew when we come home and looked them up that they would be worth a lot of money, and they were. And I mean, obviously with our phones, you can definitely stand there and just start typing it in and see it. I don't normally like to do that just because I don't like to kind of bring attention to myself.
That at the store,
But I will if it's something I really don't know. But as far as, I mean, do we have like a guideline? I mean, it's just kind of how it is, you know.
Well, it's experience. It's just like you said. I mean, really, if you start buying stuff and selling stuff seriously within a month or two, I mean, you're really going to be like, oh yeah, I bought that. It sold overnight. I will always buy that thing.
I mean, and I think that if you do this for 12 months where you're consistently buying and selling items on eBay, you're going to find that there isn't that much stuff out there that it's different. I mean, every so often, you know, every month we find a couple things that we've never seen it before and we learn something new about it. But most times it's just, you know, whether you get into shoes or coats or dishes, like there's only a certain amount of stuff that was ever made, certain kind of brands. And once you learn them, then it's done.
Then you just get those things when you see them. I don't know what else to say about it.
So I hope that helps. But I mean, I don't know, people are trying to like make it into a science and it's really more like an art. You know, we just learn from other sellers. We just do completed items and we just see what other people sell, the prices they sell it for, and we see how they describe it, and it's just a learning experience.
Yeah, like we used to buy a ton of like men's blazers because for me, I love wool. I love wool tweed. That's like one of my favorite materials. You know, you can find men's blazers all the time, and I mean, most of them just do not sell for very much money. So I stopped buying them.
And that's because men just don't really wear blazers very much, and the men that do wear blazers and suits, they normally buy like good suits, like they don't go on eBay and buy like cheap.
or they need to get them tailored, so that's why they, you know, and these aren't tailor fit suits. So it's things like that where I used to buy them like crazy, and now I'm like, nope, not gonna touch them.
So
you know, things like that.
So again, we hope that helps, but it's kind of a learning experience, all of this stuff.
I like the phrase you said, it's an art, not a science. It really does. It's like I can't give you the formula exactly because it's just different for everyone. You know.
Again, I think, and maybe if people are coming from like the Amazon FBA world, I feel like when I read on the discussion boards, people do try and really break it down into a science because they're talking about brand new in the package items. And so it's very specific kind of like numbers that they're dealing with. Whereas we're all dealing with kind of like older, vintagey, you know, items where the value of something's more about like, it's about the patina, it's about the history, it's about like...
It's about the person who finds it.
Yeah, I mean, like someone... Like, I don't have an emotional connection to an iPod case, a brand new iPod made in China, but we have many people who buy from us that have these emotional connections to like this vintage stationery that was made at a certain store because they worked in the store back in the 60s when the stuff it was made, and they buy it and they'll pay us, you know, $50 for it because it's special to them. So you know, again, when you're talking about eBay and Amazon, often it's apples and oranges. You know,
it's a different situation.
Okay, the next question is, did you mention that you read some different eBay discussion boards? Which ones do you recommend? And that is from
Jeff Smith.
you know what? One reason why we started this podcast was I was not finding very good info online talking about selling on eBay in a way that I really connected to. I mean, when I talk about discussion boards, I talk about the official ebay.com community discussion boards. And those are normally when you just type in eBay discussion boards, those will be the first one that popped up. And again, we started the podcast because of my frustration trying to go through those boards.
Yeah.
They're so negative.
Right.
People just griping, and I got to give eBay some credit. They host these boards where people are attacking eBay and saying how eBay is trying to destroy their store. I mean, they're interesting in some sense because you kind of get a feel for what other sellers are going through. And there's some good information on there, but once you start getting into that kind of muck of the negative stuff, it's just not really, it's worth it. The things I like about eBay are the eBay blogs by personal sellers. And those are just type in like eBay a vintage blogger and you'll start popping up and you'll see them. And they'll often have on the sidebar a list of their favorite eBay blogs. And you can tell it's like the old, what do they call it, like web ring or something?
Ring.
Yeah.
Blog roll. Yeah.
Where just people are showing what they buy and sell, and they give it little tips.
Yeah, those are
nice.
fun. Yeah, I like those blogs.
So, I mean, if other people have places where they read about eBay, I'd love to hear about it,
Yeah. So the next two questions are kind of on the same topic. So here's one by the Baroness. Contacting buyers to request feedback revisions. eBay has a form for that, but you should contact your buyer first to see if they will revise. That's not really a question, but it's a good statement. And then the other one is from the Chronicler. About what percentage of your buyers leave feedback? I always track the items that I send, and when I see that it arrives, I send an email thanking them for their purchase and making sure they're satisfied. I let them know that I've already left positive feedback for them and ask them to do the same. I would say that only half leave feedback. It is all positive, which is good, but am disappointed that it's not a higher percentage. I guess we should look at our numbers at what percentage people leave feedback nowadays, but it's pretty high, actually.
I think half seems about right.
Right, yeah.
It's for us. And what I've read is that if you're getting about half of your buyers leave you feedback, and hopefully positive feedback, that's actually really good.
Really good, yeah.
They say the average is 25% on eBay. And I think for Amazon, I was reading, it's like 5%.
Yeah, nobody leaves feedback.
On the Amazon boards where they talk about this stuff, I mean, sellers go nuts trying to figure out how to get feedback because we all know a lot of the people that have the will to leave feedback is the negative stuff. So if you're getting only 5% of people leaving feedback, one negative score can ruin
really bad,
your Amazon reputation. But we were talking about Amazon. Let's talk about eBay.
Yeah,
I mean,
half is good.
This guy, or I don't know if it's a guy, but this person, I think, is doing the right thing. We do it all. Also, we do the automatic feedback request.
Because we have a store, you can automatically leave feedback for your buyer at different times. But I have it right when they pay because then it's done. I actually don't send a note because I don't know if that's automated, if you can automate, like, sending a note.
I feel like we just sell so much that it would just be...
I just can't keep up with it.
It would just be a lot of...
I used to do it
right.
in the beginning, but I'm just like, I just don't have time to keep up with
and
that.
The first comment or question was, and if someone leaves you bad feedback, you can...
Yes.
Send them a feedback form asking if they'll change it.
Yeah,
and,
you only get a few a year. You get like 5 a year.
I think we tried that when we were first started. We'd really get into it, and we try and every bad feedback, we try and get someone to change it. But we never had good luck. I mean,
well, even if you ask them first and they say they will, sometimes they just don't care and they don't do it.
And it's Mikey said he had good luck. It's with good. It, but we never have. So. I don't know what to say about that.
You can do it if someone really made a mistake and they think that, you can get them to change it, go for it. But
going on this theme of selling it's one of a kind or a vintagey things versus selling brand new in the package items, I feel like one reason why we get as much feedback as we do is because when you sell someone something that's some kind of special, I feel like those people are the ones that will go out of their way to leave good feedback.
Right.
Because they're collectors, you know, they're really pleased to get something that they've been seeking, versus if I'm just selling inkjet cartridges, I mean, it's like such a random kind of item. Like, I have no emotional feeling about it. I never leave Amazon feedback, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's just a different ball game.
I'm a good seller. I'm the worst buyer.
You're the worst.
I've said it.
No, I know. We've said that before. I leave feedback. I've purchased several things on eBay in the last week, just household items and stuff. And I'll leave feedback because, you know, I know that sellers need feedback. But
you're such a good guy.
I'm a good buyer.
Good buyer.
But I'm also the worst buyer. If anything's wrong, I'll immediately complain. So
okay, the next question is from Ike Boy.
Ike Boy. So it's not a question, it's a suggestion, but it's actually a great topic, or, you know, mini topic for us to talk about. Eyeglass frames. Lots of us get new eyeglasses every year, lots of old ones lying around, retro glasses, sunglasses, how to describe them, auction strategies, etc. So it's really funny that you said this, because I have been buying a lot of glasses and I have been selling a lot of glasses. And it's mostly for the frames, because they're prescription glasses from, like, you know, people from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But the great thing is, and anyone who wears glasses knows, you just get the lenses replaced.
Right, because the frames are the things that are expensive.
Right.
It's the... so if you can take a nice pair of frames or a vintage pair of frames, and they'll put in brand new lenses.
I mean, if you find, like, designer frames like Christian Dior or Ray-Ban, well, if you find any Ray-Bans, they're worth $150, you know, plus right away. So always get Ray-Bans. But just funky 80s. Like, I had these like 80s pink eyeglasses frames, and they actually had a prescription lens, but they were pink lenses. Mm-hmm. Sold to someone in Sweden for like $40.
And we just went to an estate sale. It's recently, like this person talks about, people gather its glasses throughout their life, and there was a whole pile of them, and we grabbed a handful of them, and they were really nice.
Christian Dior, they were Christian Dior, and
you know, and that's the stuff that some estate sales or some people at yard sales, they just don't think are worth anything, because they think if they have the prescription lens,
what am I going to do with that?
Who's going to do anything? It's with it. So we always get them for, you know, $2 or less.
Yeah, I mean, like, I one time went to the place where we buy in bulk, and I went through every single glasses. They had like this huge basket of glasses, and I just got any ones that frames were in good shape. I had like 50 pairs of glasses, and I've been selling them. So
real quick about this question, though, which I get confused about, how to describe the item, auction strategies, you know, I don't know what to say to you other than just like, you know, you buy stuff and you either have a gut feeling that it's worth something, or you're searching on your phone before you buy it. And then you just come home and this is any item, you do it's research. Open up eBay. Type in the brand name, you know, anything you can pull off the item, and just do completed items or sold items. Then look at what sells. You can go from highest to a lowest price. You can figure out what the average price is, and then start to read the things that sold, and other sellers do the work for you.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you know, and you can see how they describe it. You'll figure out history. We use Google too, and you know, like, that's how you do everything.
Yeah, and like for glasses too, I mean, there'll be times where I'll find some random brand that no one's listed, but it's this style. So like those pink glasses, they didn't really have a brand, but it was just like, you know, vintage hipster 80s pink rose, you know, cool girl glasses. They sold to someone in Sweden for $40. You know, that's what she's looking for. Pink hipster, you know, glasses frames.
Yeah.
And she found it and she bought it. So
And when we try and to describe things, especially if it's not a common item or something that doesn't have a
brand or
a brand on it, which is a lot of vintage items. I mean, we describe it the way we would tell a friend about it, you know? Like, how would you, in an excited but in a true way, describe why this item is awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And you're going to find someone that gets into that, you know?
Right.
So I hope that helps. Daryl asked the next question. He said he listened to episode 90 where you talked about people who essentially complain about an item to get a lower price. Today, watching the Dirty Money on Netflix show, one of the guys on the show did that. He called it a handel and said it was
a Yiddish
word. Googling handel, it seems it's basically a word for bargaining. But on the show, he kept putting down the item he was wanting. And
maybe it's just him being a New Yorker.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Haggling is not, I feel, not really an American thing. Like,
right.
You know, we in America seem to like fixed price. You know, I go to Walmart, there's a price on it. It's all about how other stores compete. So whoever has the lowest price are the ones I'm going to buy on. People aren't standing in aisles yelling at each other. Oh, these potato chips are so shitty. You need to give me it for cheap. Come on, you know. Like,
although they do that in a lot of other countries.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that we have like a cartoon view in like, you know, the Middle East or something where there's like a carpet market and people are like haggling and yelling at each other. Then they do the deal and then they have tea together. So it's all kind of like an act.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That actually happens there.
I don't think that that's a good technique, or at least I don't like it when it's used on me.
Right.
So we mentioned in that episode where when we have people leave us, well, you know, they send in a bid or they send in an offer, and in the comments they'll say, I'll only give you this much because it really isn't that nice of a piece. I always decline that. I'm like, I'm not going to sell to someone that doesn't think something's nice.
It's so easy. You're just like, oh, you don't think it's nice? Then I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to decline you and I'm going to block you.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be buying this if you didn't like it? That's the complete opposite.
And when we're at like yard sales or auctions, I see, especially like, it seems like older guys do this. Like they pick stuff up and they start to like, and they'll always do it with a lady too. They'll be like, this thing's kind of, you know, it's kind of scratched. Like, how about
junky.
I do this? I get embarrassed for the guy because I feel he's embarrassing himself, and the people who are selling it, you can tell it makes them kind of angry, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess it works if you can bully somebody, but, you know, hopefully enough sellers are smart enough where they don't have to take that kind of abuse.
I mean, there are times where I will point out flaws and just not so much to those people, but it's like Jay and I's technique where, you know, I'm looking at a jacket, the person wants $20, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't know, it's got a couple holes. I'm not like, this thing's shitty. It's so ugly. Why would you even buy this? You know, I'm like...
That's really on the edge.
It is on the edge, but you're also like, I want a little discount because, it's not in perfect shape, but I could use it, you know?
The way I like to do it...
I guess that's my version of it.
And we've talked about it before in other podcasts. I like to show that I'm interested. Like, I'll be like, this is really nice.
This is cool.
I'm interested. But that I'm not interested at the price and I'm willing to walk away from it. And usually, the person who is selling it, if they're hungry to sell it, then they'll offer a better price because they aren't doing it because I'm putting it down. They're doing it because I'm about to walk away from this. So.
Well, also, you always say like the awkward silence. Usually, that is actually a huge negotiating tactic. If you want the other side to budge, you don't say a word.
Yeah,
you're like, wow, this thing's awesome. And they're just like, you know?
I don't know. I think we all have our own techniques, so maybe that works for some people. I'd love to hear in the comments if people have different techniques.
So Pauline said something interesting. Could you please link to the labels that you use to print your shipping labels? Your idea about turning them around on the tray to use the second one was brilliant, which is basically what they're meant to be used for. I ordered some from eBay, but the toner from my laser printer won't stick. Now, I think on these sticky labels, the other side, there's the label, and then there's the like wax paper that holds the label on. You might be printing on the wrong side because the wax paper that is not sticky at all, it's just holding the sticker, will not hold the laser printer toner. It will come right off on your fingers. So you might just be printing on the wrong side.
But if you go to ebayscavengers.com and if you go to the
resources page,
a resources tab, that's where on that page is where we link to.
But I'll link to it in this podcast as well. But yeah, basically these labels are meant for you to use one side, and then you specify on your eBay labels not to print like a receipt. You just print one side of it, and then you flip it and then print the other label. But if you're printing it upside down, that's not going to work at all.
So its next question is really kind of like, I'm not sure how we're going to answer it, but this seems like a very beginner question.
It's from KB Mom 7.
Once you weigh something, how do you go about determining the cost and how to pay and print off the labels? I mean, this is like that's eBay 101 stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you weigh something and it weighs 2 pounds, that's how much you put in your listing.
I mean, this is kind of where it's hard to kind of explain. You just have to start to do it. And this is where the eBay a website is very helpful. You go to eBay and how to print labels, and they'll have a whole page, and you just have to start doing it. You know, try it out for a one thing, then do it for another.
It's so easy. Oh my God, I couldn't live without printing shipping off eBay labels. Or you can look on YouTube. A lot of people make like instructional videos. I mean, we've done it for some things too, but more technical instructional videos on YouTube. Just Google like how to use eBay shipping. And, you know, there should be stuff up there.
And I feel like these kind of questions, too, I don't know if KB Mom is new, but it sounds like a person who is new to eBay. I feel like these are the people who might be tempted to buy those packages from all the people who are teaching others how to buy on eBay. Like, man, I was on one site where someone was selling like a package on how to sell on eBay. It was like $500. It was $4.99. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And probably all they do is just repurpose all the information that's
on eBay.
That's already on eBay. You know, just they walk you through the steps. I mean, it's just.
Oh, here's another thing too. You can always call eBay too. If you're like on a page and you're like, I just can't figure out how to do the labels. I don't see where the link is. I don't see the page where I'm supposed to see the link. Just call them. I mean, that's what they're there for.
Suzanne Wells has a website, and she's commented, and she's talked on this blog before, and she does that where she, has like, but her things are interesting. They're like $30 or $40, I think.
Yeah,
and they're
for like a course.
They're like hour-long. It's classes where you actually get to talk to somebody and then ask a bunch of questions afterwards. I think those things might be valuable if you're brand new. Maybe computers aren't really your thing. I mean, I can understand that, but man, you got to be careful of these packages where someone's just going to mail you a bunch of DVDs or a bunch of like binders
for hundreds of dollars,
or even worse, just give you access to a website that just has the information on a website. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
But as we always say, if you just put in the work and just learn how to do Google. Just Google any question and just take time and read it. It's all there.
It's all there, yeah, exactly. Okay, from Mama Jules says, do you think there is a significant advantage to having or not having an eBay store? The eBay store calculator shows that it is currently more expensive for me to sell via store at this point. However, I'm curious if you or your listeners think there is a marketing advantage to having one. So again, as we always say about having a store, if it doesn't make sense in your number calculations, then you shouldn't have a store. But if it's cheaper to have a store, you should have a store. That's all it takes.
I guess we always encourage people to have stores because we also encourage people to list 500 items. And if your goal is to have 500 items, you're well into the need to have a store because your per item listing fees are so much lower.
Right.
But as far as eBay goes, if you have a store or don't have a store, things don't sell any better than not.
I don't think there's a huge marketing advantage other than, if someone asks a question about all the certain kind of, Fair Isle sweaters you have, well, you can search in your store and give them a link to that. I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and we do have every month we'll have at least one buyer who realizes we have an entire store and will actually shop in our store and buy multiple things from us, which is kind of cool. If you are not planning on doing eBay full-time or even really part-time, and,
Yeah.
And a list, hundreds of items, don't pay the subscription
you don't need
fee
a store
per month. It's not going to.
But if you're a serious seller, like, contemplating quitting your job in a few months to do this full time, you probably need to buy a store subscription.
Yeah.
Okay, so Debbie in California asked this. This is a very good question. I don't know if I have a perfect answer for it, but I can try. Have you ever shipped one auction sale in more than one box in order to keep large breakable parts safe? eBay customer service said that it was not possible to do it. I'm not sure I believe the guy. I thought I'd seen an option to send one auction in more than one box with different shipping confirmation numbers. Do you know anything about this? Okay, I have one lamp set that is in 4 different boxes. It's the shades are in 2 different boxes, and then the lamp bases, which are ceramic, are in 2 different boxes. Granted, I've never sold this item. I have calculated the weight and the price I paid to get them boxed up professionally, and I've calculated that approximately into the shipping and handling costs. Because what you will have to do is you will literally, when you say print shipping label on your eBay, item form, you're going to click that 4 times, and you're going to print 4 different labels with different confirmation numbers. That's how I'm going to do it.
And then into eBay, you just have to put one of those numbers to approve it, right?
eBay, right, only one of those numbers to approve that it shipped, but eBay will show all 4 tracking numbers. Because, okay, this is another kind of side note. If you've ever printed a label and then voided it because you had the wrong address or something and then never sent it, and click to track that item, you'll see the 2 tracking numbers. One will never update because you never used it, but the second one will update because that's the proper one. It'll be the same thing with those, 2, 3, 4 boxes, only they'll all be updating. So while eBay does not give you the option on the listing page to say box 1 weighs 10 pounds, box 2 weighs 4 pounds, box 3, etc., basically what you have to do is you have to combine the weight and just approximate. And the good thing is, if you've way over approximated once the person, has already paid, you can always give them a shipping refund afterwards. And you can tell them that, look, this is a weird, 4-box item. I will give you a refund on shipping, something like that.
I mean, I think also, too, it should be very obvious, but you want to communicate with the buyer, too, of what they should be expecting. So
yes.
If someone buys this lamp, and we had this up for $2,000, but this beautiful...
I want someone to buy it!
It's like this beautiful Art Deco lamp, and we're willing to hold on to it till someone does buy it. But, we'll tell this person, expect 4 different boxes, and we'll number each box, too. And as long as that's clear, I don't see why anyone would have a problem with that.
And you should insure each... What I was going to do is, since it's a $2,000 lamp set, I was going to insure each box for $500 each. But I guess, that's how I was going to do it. So if one piece got broken, you could, refund $500.
Right. So eBay doesn't have like a real clear... a system for how to do that, and this is a very rare case for us. But like anything on eBay, you can always just get around it. As long as you just kind of estimate and guesstimate, and you can kind of always work around the way eBay does things. Yeah,
you can do it. It is possible. They don't give you the infrastructure to do it, but you can do it, and that's how I would do it.
Okay, guys, thanks for being on another episode. This week we put up our weekly stats or weekly numbers on ebayscavengers.com, so you can just kind of see where we are. And we always love in the comments when somebody puts its numbers. I feel like that helps all of us just kind of get a sense of like where everyone's store is at. And for new people, it shows that it works. We actually added a new number to our weekly stats because of the questions people have been asking. We're now putting money spent on inventory.
Right.
So this week we spent $254, which is actually more than I thought we spent.
Yeah, I think I laugh at Jay sometimes because he's always like, we don't spend that much on inventory, which, we don't spend as much as some people do, as much as we could. But,
Well,
you know.
I think this week, too, we actually went to a couple of estate sales where...
We bought high-priced items.
Where we bought 2 carloads full of stuff.
Yeah.
So that $254 is a whole lot of stuff. I'm going to be taking pictures of that for at least a week.
Oh, yeah. We have lots of good stuff.
So I guess I don't think it's a lot because we buy so much, but, you know, it does add up, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, this week we sold one piece of jewelry that you bought for probably $2. And we
For
sold it
$100.
For $100.
Yeah,
So,
I did.
I mean, that's where, like, the margins are ridiculous, you know.
Right, yeah, I know. I paid $2. It was $94 on one piece of jewelry.
And she actually bought 3 other pieces, or 2 other pieces.
So actually that's a good example. She bought this one, it was a brooch. It was a Liz Taylor brooch. And if you look those up, you can see they sell for a lot of money. And she bought another brooch and another necklace all at once. So that was fun. That was great when someone wants to just go shopping in your store.
Yep.
That's the best. I love that.
Okay, guys, coming up next, we're going to talk about it's mistakes we made when we first started doing eBay. All right?
Bye.
Bye.